Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to Epic Spotlight Live. We're here, me and Jess. I started not feeling 100% last Wednesday. Thought it would take me a couple days. It's still lingering, but we're still much better than I was. Can you
You
attest to
sound
that?
much better. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Can
you.
you do me a solid?
What's up?
Will you fix the? I don't like this because in Instagram, like I'm like right here. Can you do the little boxes? Now don't move too fast.
Oh, not that.
What? Yeah, maybe that might not be it.
Not these are the boxes.
Are those the only two boxes?
We can go that
No,
box.
not that.
Definitely, I don't even see you.
Mm-mm.
This is the.
I don't know. I feel
You
really
want to go
close.
this
Never
way?
mind. Nah, put it back where it was.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough.
The OG.
Always
I
trying to
just scoot
switch
back a little
things.
bit.
Well,
Well,
here we
apparently
go.
we have more options when there are more people. When there are more boxes.
This is true. This is true. Now, that is a very true. When we have more people on the show with us, there are more options on how you want to look. But yeah, I'm excited. This is the first one of the week, so I'm excited to be back and have a conversation about our future selves, and can't wait to hear what you're going to say today. But here's the thing: most people don't realize when buying a home, they're not just signing a mortgage; they're writing a letter to their future selves. When you buy, you're thinking about today, the paycheck, the neighborhood, the kitchen size. But imagine the 40-year-old version of you walking through that door, or your 50-year-old self, or even the 60-year-old version of you, sipping coffee in the same spot you're staring at right now. Will they be happy with the choices you made? Will they curse your short sighted decisions, or thank you for thinking ahead? This isn't just about square footage or interest rates. It's about planning a life, a home that grows with your career, your family, your health, and your freedom. A home that supports with a home that supports your long-term wealth instead of holding it hostage. And that's what we're talking about today. So, Jess, I wanted to start off asking you a question.
Ooh, okay.
I want to take you back to when you bought your first home.
Okay.
And what were some of the thought patterns? Were you thinking about your future self? Where were you, and what did you end up buying?
Um, okay, so Jess Ford, who bought her first house, would she would not have imagined the life that she has now, I'll tell you that. When I was in a very, very different place, um, with a dual income. I guess I still have a dual income now, but now it's like my dual income and then it was another person. Um, Okay, so I think my experience with buying my first house was a little unique, just simply because I had been in the mortgage industry for maybe a year,
Sure,
and I was really excited to, try what I had learned.
sure,
Um, but it was interesting, right? I don't think I thought about the things that I am going to suggest that people think about today, right? There are things, I'm a type A, I'm a planner. So there's always
are
been some
you?
forward. Am I?
Oh,
There's always been some forward thinking. And future Jess, that's my girl. She one of my favorite people. Gotta protect her. But I mean, what I was like 26-ish. I had a fully formed frontal lobe, so I think I was like 26. Um, but it was different, and I went through four realtors on one transaction.
wow.
Yeah. Uh, I didn't get anything done at work for like 9 months because that's about how long it took to find the house, which was crazy because I ran a team of 60 at the time and I worked at a place where you just put your head down and work. So it's very interesting that I got away with not doing much. Um, I don't know, man. And it took. I saw house after house, and with every house I saw, I learned something new. Right. Um, I paid for a lot of inspections. It was always the septic that killed it, right? One foundation. Um, I mean, it was exciting, right? But then once you get into the house, right, after living in apartments for so long, right? Or any kind of rental where it's not completely your responsibility. Yeah, that was different. It was a reality check, because
Yeah.
these things you just don't think about.
Yeah, I wanted this topic to come up, and I thought it was an interesting topic because I think people need to have some more thoughts in their mind when they're looking at homes. Other than kitchen counter sizes and islands, and oh, look at this remodeled bathroom. I thought there was other things that should be in their head. So I wanted to start off with just family growth. I thought thinking about where you live and is where your family's going to be at. I think it's so
Hmm.
important now, especially with the prices, right?
Oh, for sure.
Everything's, with the prices being where they are, it's just like, I don't want to say they're your forever homes, but that starter up home is harder and harder to find.
Agreed. I completely agree. It is harder to find. And I think right now we are in an environment where I still hear my borrowers say, like, this is not my forever home, right? But we're at a place where people are like, okay, I'm going to buy this house and then I'm only going to buy one more, right? Except when you've got the people who are a little more financial savvy and they know they're like, okay, I'm going to buy this one, I'm going to buy another one, and then I'll settle into my dream house.
Sure.
Um, so, I mean, you just gotta, it's all about considering your future lifestyle, right?
Yeah, and I think families are one of them. I mean, whether you're
100%.
at the time I bought my first place, I think I was 25. So this
Mhm.
is my 20-year anniversary of being a homeowner. Um, and I had no kids 20 years ago.
Mm, right.
I'm a single guy in a relationship, but I'm single at the time. And am I in a relationship? How can you be single and in a relationship? Stop that.
Uh, it's very easy to be somewhere in the middle,
Did I really
okay?
just say that? Man,
Like,
uh, I was in a relationship, thank you, but I was not married. Let's just say that I was not married, and so it was, yeah, definitely. I only saw 3 properties, and
mhm.
I chose. All right, I don't. I think I saw 2, and I chose the second one. And she's like, "Do you want to see another one?" I said, "No."
Yeah, that's not, but wait, didn't you, hold on. First of all, stop giving yourself so much credit. She, because I remember this story, homie. She looked at all the properties, and
Yes,
you were like, just give me three because I have a problem with choices.
yes, yes.
Like,
She knew. She knew. And she's like, "Here's the ones." Yes, we cut to the chase.
but you know what? That is, I mean, it for all intents and purposes, that's awesome because out of all the things, all the options that were out there, even though you guys weren't married yet, I feel like that kind of solidified it. She could pick out all these options and go, here are the three he's gonna like, and you completely trusted her to do that, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no doubt.
yeah.
I mean, there's a sense of even you could look at it as a test, right? I'm testing to see, do you know me? How well do you know me? And she passed. And yeah, girlfriend to marriage, girlfriend to wife. So yeah, it
I
was one of
can't
those
wait to meet her.
situations. Yeah.
Cannot wait.
It's a different world. It is a different world. But yeah, I mean, that's what it was. But at the time, I bought a 2-bed, 2-bath condo, right?
Hmm.
So it's a 2-bed, 2-bath. I'm not thinking about kids though. I'm thinking about, oh, this room right here is going to be my office. It's
Wait,
going to be
do you know why I bought my first house?
why?
For the dogs. I
You have
had two
dogs.
German shepherds. I had two
Mm,
German shepherds, and they're like on the aggressive breed, whatever. They were softies, and even though they were allowed in the apartment I was in, we had this neighbor who just complained about everything. She just hated her life, and if the wind blew too hard, you know, she complained. So I didn't want to deal with that. They were like, "You got to get rid of the dogs." I was like, "You sound stupid." So I bought a house for the dogs, and they had a massive backyard.
wow. That's
We could have
family.
fit three more houses in the backyard.
That's still considered family.
Oh, for sure.
I know for what what is coming up. Mother's Day will be coming up very soon, and I knew
Yeah.
to make sure I said Happy Mother's Day to all the dog moms. Shout out dog moms out there, cat moms. My grandma became a cat mom, so I know how to say Happy Mother's Day. So family growth is important, and and it's interesting. The average American usually moves 5 to 7 years. That was the status quo for many of years. And
Hmm.
why is that? Because lifestyle changes,
Right.
from
Absolutely.
being the young pup, single, ready to mingle, to now married. Oh, now we're married with kids. I remember one of my clients out in the Chicagoland area, and I helped them buy a house, and then all of a sudden sprouted to 4 kids. And it's just like
Hmm.
house is not big enough. They had to do remodeling and bump up and and everything. So things change, and when they change, your housing will change. Your housing needs and wants will change. And I think what's interesting nowadays in 2026, also remote work. I don't
Oh,
think
for
that's
sure.
going
Yeah.
away.
I very highly doubt that it's going away. And it's interesting that I was just having this conversation with my brother last night because he has um 3 kids, right? And now he needs another room, right?
Mm,
Because I have a new niece. She's perfect, by the way. Um, but the debate is, do I sell this house and buy another one, or do we stay here? And he's got this giant basement where we could easily throw up a wall, you know? Um, and we're thinking about it and we're going back and forth. He's kind of tossing stuff out, and I'm like, you know, and he's in the industry as well.
got it.
So it's a fun conversation, right?
Sure.
But then I thought about when he bought. I said, "Hey man, what's your interest rate?" He said 1.99. I said, "So we're gonna put a wall in the basement, and we're not
Can't let
having
it
this
go.
move. We're not having this selling conversation anymore."
Right. Can't let it go.
199.
Insanity.
Yeah, I'm like, no, you're not moving.
No.
It's crazy.
No, they I'm gonna pepper you with stats along the way. They said that what is it? 60% of Americans now work remotely or hybrid, at least, per week.
Yeah, that's not going anywhere. So like, okay, the way I think about this is choosing home, right? It is
Mhm.
much more than a financial transaction. Now, granted, there are two ways you have to think about a house, and a financial transaction is definitely one of them. You have to look at it like that, or you will make a terrible decision.
Sure.
But at the same time, it's part of a lifestyle design. So when you're evaluating a home, like I think there are like different dimensions that you need to consider, and work life integration is one of them. So remote, hybrid, they're pretty much part of our lifestyle now. They're permanent fixtures, they're not going anywhere. So even things as simple as acoustic separation, right? What if you have two people that work at home together? If you've got multiple people working at home, it's essentially you're working in a sound stage, right? The house is your sound stage and it needs a check. Are the bedrooms or offices far enough apart to simultaneously be on video calls? Um, my house was
Well,
pretty spread out, right? It was pretty big. And so my best friend, when she would come back to Michigan, she'd stay with me, right? And so I could be upstairs in my office and she could be downstairs in my second office, and we were totally fine. But if I were in a bungalow, that would not happen. It'd be too much.
right. 33% of homeowners say they regret the size of their home, whether
Oh,
it's too small or too large.
I believe that. I
Yeah.
definitely believe that
Yeah, the remote work is a game changer
for
because
sure.
if and especially if two people are working at home. I know I talked to one of our account executives, and it's a husband and wife, and they both are pseudo in the industry, and they sometimes are working at home.
Yeah.
And to your point, that separation has to. Hey, he talks too loud. Man, I can hear her voice. I can hear her conversation. I'm trying to think over here. So these are things that you have to consider when choosing a house as well. A third thing that I thought was interesting was aging parents.
Oh, yes. Aging parents, even yourself, right? Aging in place, you know? Um,
Dang, mic drop.
bing,
We're getting older, aren't we?
you are. So
Ah,
even so, like, think about even if you're young, right? Um, you want to consider if the house has a a bathroom, a full bathroom, and a bedroom on the main floor. Because whether it be for you as you get older, or again, aging parents, right? Um, is really invaluable when it comes to visiting parents, you know? Or even if you face a mobility issue, right? So, like, I've had my fair share of times on crutches and, getting up those stairs, like,
that's rough.
okay, but it's coming back down. That was always, because I'm clumsy as it is. I fall without the crutches. Actually,
Jeez,
I've never fallen with crutches. Fall without them all the time, though. That's the
interesting.
thing. But it was great because, like, when I was growing up, my grandmother lived with us, and as she got older, we were able to move her out of the master bedroom and down to the bedroom on the first floor, which was directly across from a full bathroom, but at the back of the house. So she still had some sense of privacy, you know?
Yeah,
Um, and I know a lot of people now, like right now in their 40s, and they're like, I want a ranch, right? Just simply because recently had a borrower. She's, I want to say early 40s. Um, and her knees were a problem already, so that it had to be taken into consideration when she was buying that home.
yeah, no, definitely. I think in that regard, you normally have the two-story or a three-story tri-level, type of house, especially when you have kids and you want
Hmm.
them to go upstairs, or you create a playroom or some level of like, just get out of here. I don't even want to hear you guys. All
So,
that riffraff, especially if you've got some boys, all that energy, all that man, energy has to come out and they want to play WrestleMania and throw each other across the room and stuff like that. And you're just like, man, I gotta put them somewhere. Where can I put them? And
yeah.
that becomes a thing, that becomes an issue. And it's like, but going back to aging parents, we have to consider this. We're kind of in that what is that blended era right now, the sandwich
Oh, for
era,
sure.
where multiple generations are all living together because of
Hmm.
prices, obviously, but also because of need.
Right.
And man, it's so expensive. My father's in a nursing home, so I know firsthand how much it costs every month. And
Hmm.
man, they snatch everything. And it's a pretty penny, and it's very expensive to get that type of well care. So if you can
Yeah.
do it at home, you're going to try to do it at home.
Right. Absolutely. Because nobody really wants to have to like separate from their parents like that,
No,
unless they're
that's
just
old people prison. I mean, let me
unless
be
you're
the
really
first one to say, nursing homes are old people prison. Don't
they're
kid yourself.
so sad.
Man.
You know what, and I vowed that. So my mom, God rest her soul, right? She knew she was never going into a nursing home, right? Never. It wasn't gonna be a thing. Um, but I've made the same promise to my cousins and my aunts. I'm like, nobody's going to a nursing home. Like, if that's what you have to do, I get it, because being a caretaker is no joke. It is hard in all of the wrong ways.
Oh man.
but but at the same time, like, if I can avoid it, right, that's why I work so hard. I don't care if I got to build you a mother-in-law suite in the backyard
Yeah,
and, put a nurse practitioner on staff. You're not going to one of them places.
man.
Just,
I mean, you try
no.
not to. I
Right.
know, man.
It's
My
the hope.
mom was a saint for 5 years. She took in her ex back into her house and was playing, Nurse Betty for as long as she could. And I said, man, someone's got to give, because I said one of them are gonna die,
Right.
maybe two of them, because
Yeah.
they going tit for tat. And and so we had to take care of the business, and so we did. But Uh, but at first it was like, man, I got two over here. I can't really, take care of him. Can you help, please? Can you invite him back? I mean, it was a whole craziness, but I mean, she is a true angel. But one thing that the stat that surprised me was it's about 1 in 5 Americans provide care for aging parent or family member. I mean, that's 20%. I mean, so it's a growing number. I don't think it's going to go lower. It's just going to continue to increase as
Is
we
that
live longer too.
especially with the changes in insurance,
Yeah,
like because that's a big part of it for a lot of people.
100%.
But I think that's also important, right? So we're not always going to get so lucky as to find a house with a bedroom on the first floor, but maybe, right, a multi-purpose room,
Sure.
something that you can convert to a guest room, a gym, a nursery, maybe it's a prayer room, right? Like something, right, that can be multi-purpose. So you can redefine the room
Yeah.
without any kind of major construction.
You better go get that partition. Better go get that partition.
Okay, I was scared you were about to sing Beyonce song.
No,
The name of the
I'm
song
not.
is
I'm not a
Partition.
part of the. Really?
Yeah, you don't have
You
to
don't
be a
think I
part
know
of the
that?
hive.
I'm not the beehive. No, stop. My
You don't
goodness.
have to be a part of the hive, okay?
My goodness. My goodness. So yeah. No. I mean, those were kind of the four that I wrote down. Oh, or those were three. My last one was commute changes. Commute changes. I think the pandemic did something to me. I don't know how the audience would take it, but I'm not so adventurous that want to drive so much anymore. I don't want to drive an
Oh,
hour to work. So
and
you
it's
like,
work. I love
man,
driving. I don't want to get up and drive into an office as I sit here and study and prepare to take over a firm where I have to drive into an office. But like it's literally the thing I'm looking forward to the least. And it
hmm,
takes so much time. Like I don't think we really think about how efficient our lives can be when we
sure.
don't have to leave the house in the morning to go to work.
Oh man,
You
what
know,
about
and it's
gas
just
prices?
get
Come
listen.
on, come
Here's
on.
the thing. I literally forgot that I was gonna have to buy gas like a normal person because I was filling up like once a month, maybe, right? And I like going out, but I also really like being at home. Like all my stuff is there. My dog was there. I didn't really need to go out into the world for anything. My groceries come to me.
Come on, introvert.
You know,
Jeez, they made this world for you. You and your phone. Come
no, but
here.
I'm an extrovert. I'm a
I know.
balance. But because being an extrovert just sucks the life out of you. So I would say my four categories are growth, commute, hobbies,
Mm.
maintenance.
Well, if you got kids, school districts,
Well, yeah. So yes, school
right?
districts is something that we're gonna talk about a lot today. I've got that. And that's so I think that's another thing that people that don't have children really don't think about school districts.
Sure.
And a good school district is where you're going to get I'm not going to say the most bang for your buck, but that's where your resale value is going to come in, right? That's what you got to think about future you, right? When you're looking at school districts. That is not for you right now necessarily if you don't have children, but it is for future you, the seller.
I mean, you have fluctuation in real estate. Now, generally, the fluctuation tends to go up, right? Most homes will go up. It's only probably been 7 times we've seen negative real estate appreciation or depreciation. But the reality is the ebbs and flows are still relatively there. And what do I mean by that is buying this house at 300,000 or 450,000, there might come a time where the appreciation is not 10%, it's not 5%
Hmm.
consistently like it has been, and if it does slow, that be able to sell the property might be a little bit harder, right? We're already starting to see trends of times on the market are going a little bit longer. That
Hmm.
might be a lack of demand from the buyers, right? Because it's too expensive. It might be because a multitude of things, uncertainty, right? What's going on? Are we in, WW3? Like, what are we, what's really going on? So with uncertainty, job employment is, might be a potential issue going on. I think the evaluation of when you get a house, you have to kind of look into these things forward thinking. You have to be
Right.
forward thinking instead of just looking at today. You might, well, I'm single and I don't want any kids. You might change your mind and want kids later on. You might work remote. You might want to have space to do, hobbies in your garage.
Right. Like, and that I so that's one thing that I learned after buying my first house, right? It's like, okay, even though I was thinking about future Jess, I wasn't thinking about 15 years later, right? Now I am. So, and this is what I would suggest for a lot of people, right? Especially if you don't have an established family, right? Or maybe you do, you need a contingency plan. I don't know. But me, right? I'm looking at my life as it is now. So as it is right now, it's just Jess, right? And so I'm planning for her. But I am also carving out space for future Jess's family because that may be a thing as well, right? And if not, then I've just overplanned and awesome. I have more room and more money for myself, awesome, right? But if the time comes, then I'm ready for it, you
Right.
know, because
That's
I
so
don't know what's gonna happen, like I'm all done with kids, but and right now I don't have a dog, but I know I'm gonna have another one, right?
no,
I could choose a
no.
human that comes with other little humans, you never know. So you just gotta plan for all of it.
Optionality. It's always good to have options.
Always gotta have options.
Man, I can go left, I can go right, I can go right down the middle. What do you think are I mean, we talked about things that people should consider other than, room sizes and stuff like that. But what are you did we miss anything? Or is that kind of the things that we want to make sure people are
Oh yeah,
conscious
yeah.
of?
No, we have to there are some other things that we have to talk about. So let's start with where should we start? Do we want to start with the financial end or with the actual house?
Let's go financial end.
Okay, so let's start with the financial end. Okay. So the financial end is a little different these days. The earlier the better, right? That's how I'm going to start this off, right? So buying early is less about timing the market and more about the time in the market, right? So there is a huge wealth gap between those who buy in their 20s and 30s versus those that buy in their 40s and 50s, right? It's just and lately it's reached historic levels. Like people are buying homes later and later, their first homes later and later, but that is because of, our current economic state.
Sure.
Um, and millennials being bogged down with student loans, but that's a whole other problem we have. But the impact on our financial future comes down to a couple primary different mechanisms, right? So, number one, the inflation shield, right? So, when you buy a home, you're kind of effectively freezing your largest monthly expense. And to say it's freezing, not so much, but it's like it's really running in slow motion, right? Because we're locking in our rate, we're locking in our payment, assuming you did a fixed rate. Um, but our taxes and insurance still move, you know? So that's a thing we need to consider.
Sure.
Um, and then when it comes to savings, right? So forced savings versus principal pay down, right? So every mortgage payment you make is part of, I think it in two parts, right? Rent, which is your interest, and then principal, which is essentially your savings, right? So as we pay down the loan balance, your net worth increases automatically. Um, right now, 2026, I looked this up, median net worth of a homeowner right now is roughly $255,000 compared to a renter whose net worth is about $6,300,
Right.
right? So early is getting the early start, right? So if the Gen X can start buying houses, I see that they have. I've had a couple younger borrowers, but like starting at 25 means you could be mortgage free by the time you're 55, right? And you're entering into the peak earning years with zero housing cost. Whereas starting at 40 means in theory, right? And more often than not, that you'll still be paying for a home well into retirement. But there are so many different ways that we can combat that, right? Just like we talked about house hacking, right? But it's about working with a sense of urgency at that point.
I love that. I love what you're saying because it's you're looking at it and saying, hey, different stages of life and what you should be doing. And obviously, I'm one of those 25-year-old kids that bought his first house. So, and I can see, like, as I, you know, um, as I get closer to wrapping up those endeavors, I'm like, man, that I see the power, right? I can see the 20 years of equity. Investments in yourself or investments in general just take time. It's just not a 1 year, 2 year bang.
It's a
Um,
long game.
it's the long
And so
game. You're playing the long game.
and what you're seeing right now, right, is the equity amplification, right? The You're using leverage, right? And your one of your favorite thing is, OPP, other people's money, right?
Facts.
OPM. Um OPP, yeah.
OPP. I was
Yeah,
like,
you
man,
know
we
me.
going
I
naughty
know it's
by
in my
nature.
head.
Okay.
I know it's in my head.
Okay. I can go there with
So
you.
real estate, right? So real estate is one of the few investments where you can use leverage by investing other people's money, like outside of the stock market and bonds, right? So if we think about the math, all right, let's use some round arbitrary numbers. So if you put $20,000 down on a $400,000 house, that's 5%, right? Okay. And let's say the home appreciates by 3% in 1 year. Well, then your home's value has increased. What is that?
12,000.
12,000? Yeah, 12 grand,
So,
right?
yep.
So the return, right? So our 12,000 gain on a $20,000 investment, that's a 60% return, right? So had we invested that 20,000, let's say in the stock market, and it grew by 7%, we would have only gained $1,400. But because we bought early, it allowed us to benefit from the equity amplification over the years.
Correct. I mean, we see this actually a lot in Colorado. A lot of people that bought homes back in the 70s and held on, and the power of appreciation, these Denver homes are going for over $1 million.
Right. I bought my home for
Right.
$30. Like,
30,000, and
right?
now
Like,
it's worth $1 million, and they're selling, and that was their retirement. So the beauty of per se just owning a house is that, hey, it's a forced self savings account for yourself. You're
for
forced
sure.
to do it.
I think that when you think about it, if you think about it like a ladder, right? Um, so rarely is the first home that you buy your forever home, right? Maybe it
Right.
is, but very rarely does that happen. So it buying a home, your first home, right, is supposed to allow you to use that first home as a capital source for the next one, right? So most dream homes, when people buy their dream homes, they're not funded by saving cash, but they are funded by the equity that you grew in that first house, right? And you roll it
Right.
over. I recently had some buyers they sold. I said, okay, guys, how much do you want to put down? Because you are not first time home buyers, your required down payment is 5%. And they were like, can we put down 100,000? Yeah, that's way more than 5%, but sure. Yeah, you can
Right.
do that, right? And then they backed it down. They're like, just we're gonna go to 85 instead. Good. All right, do 85 because that leaves you, right? You don't want to be cash poor when you move into a home. That's one of the worst decisions you can make. But waiting to buy until you can afford the perfect home often means that you're more so chasing a target that's moving faster than you can save.
Yeah, no, it's huge. I mean, I mean, we can always go down the list of all the pros of reasons why
Oh
to
yeah.
own an asset, and it's up to you. It's subjective nature. If you want to own a house to actually live in it, or if you want to own a house to actually rent it and invest, that's up to you. That's not everyone is meant to be a landlord. I was having this conversation with one of my clients yesterday, and she's first time home buyer. She's ready to buy, and she's debating which route to go. And I was like, house hack. You know,
Yeah.
but I said, "Are you sure though?" Because it is a commitment to be a landlord. To have to care for others. And when things happen, you have to address them. And you have to take care of them. So, it is concepts to consider. But we want people obviously from this, from this little Epic Spotlight Live to have a consideration of your future self. Take
Hmm.
care of your future self. And we've had so much of a response. I want to make sure we have enough time to go ahead and answer all these questions. So really appreciate the audience. And Jess, why don't you give your contact information?
Oh, are we at that point already?
We are well past that point. I'm running. I had to slow us down.
I had so many things to say.
I cut the outline even shorter because I was like, I want to make sure we put a little more time
First of
into
all,
it.
you did not at all. You put it in a different format. It was not cut. I don't know what you was thinking.
I thought it was cut.
It was not cut.
Okay.
But I love the stuff that you put in there, and I don't even think we're gonna have a chance to get to it all today.
Part two.
Yeah, we're no, for sure we're absolutely gonna have to do a part two on this one, especially
Right.
since I had to skip working out this morning to do this because I didn't get the outline until after 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm not gonna bring it up again, but okay. So as always, friends, you can find me on Instagram at jford_consulting. On the Facebook, I'm Jess Ford Consulting. I am putting my link tree into the YouTube chat right now. I will also put it in the Instagram chat. Um, and where else are we live? We're live on Facebook
LinkedIn,
and
Facebook,
LinkedIn.
YouTube,
Yep.
and IG.
Yes, and IG. And next week you're going to be live on IG too. Executive decision.
Okay. Okay.
Um, I do like it, so I know we have a lot of regular listeners, and if you have not copied that link out of the YouTube chat or followed me on any socials, at least jot it down, take a screenshot because I have a little bit of a surprise at the end of the episode.
Brr, brr, brr. All right. I got to bring back those riddles.
Dante, the riddles are over. You did it once. We'll try again. Maybe next quarter.
I have a riddle, but I obviously, if you go to my newsletter, you will see the riddles. So I have some riddles. I put them on
The
the
riddles,
newsletter.
I did see that in there.
Yes, they are on the newsletter every Friday at 5. But this episode today is sponsored by Epic Mortgage. Whether you're buying, investing, or refinancing, call Epic 708-905-5300, 708-905-5300. It's your dreams, your goals. Let's plan together. Now, if you are on Facebook or LinkedIn, make sure you give this a thumbs up, but definitely go out and check out the YouTube channel. We have tons and tons of videos. And I was talking to a gentleman yesterday who is a fan and does watch, and I appreciate him. And, he wanted me to, he's like, you should let everybody know what's here. So I'm going to spend time real quickly. Epic Spotlight Live channel is here for you guys. It is designed to give you insight into real estate. It is designed to give you insight into self-improvement and just lifestyle choices. We have podcasts, interviews where I have met some interesting folks along the way, along my journey, some amazing people, millionaires, successful people that are doing their thing in various industries. Definitely worth a listen. I have monologues where I take a subject line. I really have taken some books, financial books, and kind of broken them down. I did The Richest Man in Babylon. I've done The Millionaire Mindset, The Millionaire Next Door, and a tons more. Atomic Habits. So if you like books or you want at least a, God, I'm going to date myself, the Cliff Note version of knowing what this book is about and how it can maybe potentially help you, it's worth a listen to check out Dante's monologues. They come out, usually they come out Saturday mornings. And, and tell me what you think. And then obviously we have our Epic Spotlight Lives. We're out here every, at least once a week. We try to do maybe 2, 3. If we can get a guest, that would be super cool. And we're trying to bring topics that you guys want to hear and things that we can answer, debunked, and really make you educated, trying to bring positivity onto a world that sometimes seems doom and gloom. So if you have topics and subjects that you want us to approach, definitely put us in the chat or let Jess know, DM her. You can DM me. Let us know. And then that way we can, form a whole show about it and really get some of these answers answered. All right, so we got some stuff here. Let's check it out. I fall with and without crutches.
Thank you,
Jess.
Marissa. Marissa, no, me, Marissa, we be right here.
That's some Michael Jackson right there. You're not alone.
That was
Rob
okay.
Thomas
I'll give you
Gracious.
that one.
Yeah, that's another blast from past. Thinking about your future self when buying a home is such a smart idea. Appreciate you, Rob. Thanks so much.
I love that Rob's always here.
Love this topic. How do you balance current budget with future plans?
Ooh, current budget with future plans.
It's a great question.
It is a great question, and the answer is one that people don't normally like, right? So if you are thinking about future Rob, right? I am looking at current Rob and going, how is current Rob hindering future Rob, right? So you look at where you are nickel and diming yourself, right? The coffees we buy that we don't think about, the streaming subscriptions that you don't necessarily need. If you just get a little creative and maybe get on Reddit, you don't need them. I was able to cut some off and I'm still streaming all the stuff I want, right? Um, car choices. That's an okay. So car choices, right? And I think we've talked about this before, but like you have to decide if you want to look like you have money or if you actually want to have it. Because 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be both, right? Depending on what industry you're in, what job you do. So current you needs to sacrifice for future you, essentially. Like, unless you're going to pick up a second or third job specifically for future you, which I've seen people do, right? But they also did it at a time in their lives where they had the time and energy to do it. And so if that's not the case right now, then you have to look at needs versus wants overall, and what do I currently have in my life that I absolutely need, and what are the wants that I'm paying for that could actually go towards what I want in the future.
Yeah, I like that. The only thing I would add to it, Rob, and this is just a topic that hit me probably 6 to 8 years ago. I grew up in the world of Dave Ramsey and Susie Orman, and they, for the most part, if a sports analogy can work, they focus on defense. And it is, what can we cut? What can we reduce? What can
Mhm.
we minimize? And I appreciate that. And I do understand, but sometimes like I got to live, I got to do, I love experiences. Unfortunately I got to watch my Chicago Bulls. I got to go to a White Sox game. I got to do certain things that just make me me. So with that being said, and with that being in mind, I think I am conscious of that I need to make more money.
Mhm.
And so you have to think a little bit more offensively, especially in this marketplace as things continue to rise. Because I just don't want to be a hermit, right? I don't want to be,
And you
Henry
shouldn't be.
Thoreau at Walden's Pond, right? I don't want to be that guy just, man, I brought it there. You know what I'm talking about.
That was good. I didn't see that coming.
Thank you. Thank you. But, so it's one of those things where, I know that I have to make more money and I have to find creative ways to do so. So maybe it's, creating a class, maybe it's writing a book, Maybe it's just doing something on the side, part-time, but I have to realize, like, if I want certain things in my life and I know that my future plans may mean, i.e., a baby or some sort, I have to make more money. And you have to be willing. We're such loyal people sometimes, but the job has to offer opportunities of growth, and we
Right.
have to be ready to cut ties necessarily, not necessarily, but if we can't, hey, can I get additional work? I love here, but I need more money. So what can I do to make more money is the type of conversations that we might have to have. They're a little bit tough to, that's a tough conversation, and you get a little, butterflies in the stomach, but we do have to think offensively, I think, a little bit more than people do.
Well, and luckily we live in a time where there are so many different ways to legitimately make money just sitting right at home. And it's just about, spending some time finding them, right?
Okay. I got
Like,
DraftKings. I got DraftKings
you
now.
got DraftKings, that ain't it. That one of my very best friends suggested that to me. He's like, "You need to make more money. Do here, Decor. I'm gonna give you a referral code." Bro, shut up. Like, get out of here.
You gotta get that fantasy football, baby. Come on.
Oh man, but I did have free spins, and it was fun when I wasn't using my own money. It was great. But I don't
Well,
like to
March
gamble.
March Madness is coming up. I mean, you can get $5 in every game.
Yeah,
You can
yeah,
you can work your
right.
way that way, step by step. But
So
you
that's
do have
not
to
what
find
he
ways.
meant, everyone.
No, that is not what I meant. No, not at
But
all.
I do you did make a good point about like needing to enjoy your life because we live in this YOLO type of world, which is the dumbest thing I have ever heard. But we live in this YOLO world, and like I think we exercise it a lot because we're so mentally
Exhausted.
we're overstimulated. Like the world's on fire all the time, right? And we're taking in way too much information. So I need to do something to make myself feel good. So I go out and buy something, but it hinders something in the future.
Facts. Facts. Curious, what's the biggest mistake people make when planning long term?
When planning long term. Mm, okay, I don't know. I take that one like long term for a house or long term in general.
In general, I think he would go.
So I think tunnel vision. Um, right? So like when new people come into my life, right? Much like yourself, you see this this type A, she's only gonna do it this way, she's so structured. Whereas the people who know me know I got a contingency plan for everything. My contingency plans got contingency plans, right? So I think the the tunnel vision and the unwillingness to be flexible is the biggest mistake for long-term planning. You can run towards a goal and that's fine, but and it's great, right? Run towards it, but you also have to understand that you can't see into the future, and no matter how much you want to plan or you do plan, you can't plan for absolutely everything, right? You can plug a lot of holes, but one of my favorite sayings is you don't know what you don't know, right? So
Yeah.
anything could happen. So it's just I think it's about having contingency plans. Like if this doesn't work, then that. How can I, offset this? So run towards the goal, but have a backup goal, right? Or have 3 or 4 plans to get you to this place you want to be. But
I
you got
think,
to be flexible.
yeah, I think you have to be focused, but you have to have, like, it was weird. Israel Adonijah is a former Chicago Bear, and I went to Hallis Hall a couple weeks ago, right? And so he was the guest speaker, and
Hmm.
he talked about growing up in Canada. He wanted to be a basketball player. He was envisioning being a basketball player, and he tried football and he didn't like it.
Hmm.
And he was telling, a coach or something like that. It was a kind of yucky day, and he's like, go to this football practice. I hear what you're saying, but go to this football practice. And then, fast forward, 20 years, he's an NFL player, 10-year career, and, sets himself up for his next life. And so it was interesting because that wasn't his focus. That wasn't his end game, right? If you would have told him, he would have been a famous basketball player, but he ended up being, a solid NFL football player. So it's just sometimes, you have to have faith, but it's more about the activity and doing the right things, and you will end up where you're supposed to end up. I guess that's the best way I would say it. You're going to end up where you're supposed to, and just kind of have that belief. Awesome discussion. How far ahead should buyers realistically plan?
Clayton, that's one of those, it kind of depends on you answers. So, what I tell people, um, okay. So like I have two calls after the show and they are not for pre-approvals. They are simply to look at somebody's profile and let them know, like, hey, realistically, here's what you need to get cleaned up, right? So if you know you have spotty credit, right? Start, let's see, it is March. So let's say you want to buy a home in March, April, May, June, July, September, and you have spotty credit. Start working on it now, because that's a 30 to 45-day process if it goes perfectly, which it won't. Um, and not that's not negative. We just don't have the resources for it to go perfectly anymore. Also, you want to give yourself some time to build up that score, right? So maybe your credit's fine. Let's say you're at a 720. Awesome, great pricing. Shoot it up to a 760 though, because that's where you're going to get better pricing. Also, it's about looking at your finances, right? So I can't tell you how long it's going to take you to save money, but you can realistically look at it. You know what debt you have, you know what assets you have. Um, and if you, not if, go into the idea of buying a house with a savings, with a cushion. And I'm not just talking about a few $100s, right? Aim for 6 months worth of reserves. Even if you don't necessarily hit it, maybe you only ended up with 4 months worth of reserves. That's okay. Aim for 6 months. And so, however long it's going to take you to save that, that's how early you need to start.
Yeah. Does buying a does buying in a growing neighborhood really make a big difference long term?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Um, okay, so a home holds its value over the long term primarily because of the land it sits on and the desirability of its location, right? So rather than the physical structure itself, which naturally depreciates over time, you are thinking about where it lives. So when you're looking for a property that's going to hold or grow in value over time, think of it as like a three-legged stool, right? So if one leg is weak, the value proposition is going to wobble. So one, location, right? Location is the only factor that you can you can pick it, but you can't change it, right? So and those factors are going to create long-term demand. So economic stability. Neighborhoods with access to diverse job hubs are usually the most resilient. If a neighborhood relies on a single industry or employer, then it's very vulnerable to downturns, right? And they can be sudden. Then again, right, back to school districts. So, school district quality, arguably the most consistent driver of real estate value. So, again, even if you don't have children, buying in on a top rated school district ensures that you're always going to have buying in high demand in that area when it comes time to sell. Walkability, right? Walkability and convenience, areas where you can live and play. So you may be able to want to walk to a grocery store or a coffee shop or walk your kids to school or walk to the park. Those tend to appreciate faster and hold value better than an isolated car dependent subdivision, right? Um, and then you got the stability pillar, right? So that's the community and infrastructure. So a home holds value when buyers perceive, right? Because perception is reality. A home holds value when buyers perceive the surrounding community as a safe harbor. So that pride of ownership, right? So your repaired fences, trash picked up, active neighbors, well maintained lawns. Infrastructure, right? That's another one. So look for areas where city money is flowing, right? Um, Look for places where there are plans for new parks, library updates, transit improvements. Infrastructure projects usually signal that the city is committed to the long term health of a specific area. And then there's the supply constraint, right? So neighborhoods with limited space for new construction actually often hold better value simply because you've got the predictability factor, right? There's nowhere else to put any of these houses. Maybe this is going to stay the same for a while. So if a neighborhood has massive amounts of empty land surrounding it, you'll always be competing with the new shiny thing instead of the house that's right next door.
Love it. I mean, obviously, buying in a growing neighborhood, that's like a Vince 101. That's right up his alley. That's what he always talks about. Selling the small home and investing in a bigger, better area per se. Based on appreciation for growth. I know my friend and my client, bought a house for 400,000, and now it's over $1 million what it's worth. So seeing the power of buying into strong, solid neighborhoods will grow the appreciation for the future self to one day be able to sell, downsize, and extract all that appreciation that has grown on your behalf.
Right, because when you're buying, you're buying for two people. You're buying for you, the buyer, and you, the seller. And I think that's the part that people don't really think about, right? Because you know my philosophy on living your life a quarter mile at a time. I don't get it. I don't, right? But some people do, and they're comfortable like that, right? They love it. It's what works for them, which is awesome until they get to a mile down the road and they never thought about it. So
Right.
there are certain times even if you are not a planner, you have to think about future you.
I thought that's what you were going to say. Like you're buying for two of you, today and tomorrow. You
Right.
interesting. How do rising interest rates affect long-term home planning?
Oh, then it's that. So in short, it's a moving target, right? Um, Good news is though, here's how I think about it, right? So let's look at let's say circa 2020 through 2026. Interest rates haven't gone up as much as people think they have. However, the price of those rates, that has changed a lot. And again, that is kind of it's a roller coaster. It just depends on what's going on in our economy. So if you take my philosophy of save for what you need plus 6 months of reserves, that moving target is going to be a little easier to hit.
I mean, yeah.
You know, like if your goal, like if you need, right, if you need to save 50,000, aim for 75 because you got to be able to cover, inflation and things that we can't predict.
I mean, you don't make a interest rate payment every month. You make a mortgage payment, meaning you
Right.
have a certain denomination that you're going to pay that you're comfortable with. And we have to run towards that number. So if you're comfortable, Dennis, in $2,500 per month, then we need to figure out with taxes and insurance included what home is going to constitute a $2,500 payment. And that's going to vary from state to state and from neighborhood to neighborhood depending on what you're looking for. So
Right.
you may have to adjust what's available and what you're able to afford. It may change, right? And that kind of goes back to your whole car thing, right? We have to be focused on, hey, because I just recently went car shopping and it was like, I'm not paying over $500. We're going to figure this out. you know
Right. Which is tough, apparently. I haven't bought a car since
Man, that
2018. Like,
is tough.
yeah, I can't imagine what y'all are going through. Like,
It
I
was
just keep
crazy.
I'm routine maintenance.
I was like, hey, we're gonna do $10,000 down, and we're gonna do no payment over 500. Man, the options at dealerships were like
Well,
one or two,
I believe it.
and then
And
we
that's with
went to
stellar credit.
man. That's
Yeah.
crazy. You had two options. This car, that car. Oh, we got one car just like that will fit that mold. Oh, it's sold. Oh, I mean, it was crazy.
That's yeah.
Yeah, it's nuts. Do property taxes usually increase a lot over time in growing areas?
Yeah, Joey.
Yeah.
So the nicer the area gets, the more the property taxes are going up. That is everybody's, no matter what
Bugaboo.
creed, race, religion you are, that is everybody's complaint about gentrification, right? Um, it's driving up the taxes. So like here in Detroit, right? I'm watching homeowners who have been here for 30, 40 years be priced out of their neighborhood because Detroit is nicer, but nicer also means more expensive. Um, HGTV, right? Chip and Joanna Gaines. If you ask the people of Waco, Texas, they ruined it by
Mm.
renovating those houses, right? They ripped through Waco, Texas, and it was all cool until nobody could afford to live there anymore. And all of these people had to start to move. Um, and the not unique, but the I don't know, the sad part, I guess, about that was that particular community was full of 65 and overs, which usually means a fixed income.
Mm.
So being able to afford to move, nightmare. So the nicer it is, the more you're going to pay, just like anything else.
Yeah. Great live show. Should people prioritize location or house size for the future?
Ooh, Kevin, you're going to have to ask future Kevin that question. What's he want, right?
I see what you did there. I
You
see
see what I
what you
did there?
did.
So, location huge, right? We've already we know how important location is. You also have to think about like what's future Kevin gonna want, right? So let's say you live in, right? I've grown up always in a city, right? Loud urban
Metropolitan.
area, right? Um, I very much plan to not live in the city or with the next house, right? I'm also going to build it, but like I want to make rich in separation from my neighbors because I know that's what future Jess wants.
Oh,
Um,
such an extrovert. Wow. Such an extrovert.
um,
Wow.
so location, definitely, I would say make that the first priority. But allow the home to be malleable, right? And I can see actually the next question coming up, Justina's question. This is going to roll right into that.
Here, let's roll into it.
House size, right? Kevin, this still for you. Y'all, we're combining questions. So Justina's question is, can renovation later be better than buying a bigger house now? Absolutely, it can be, especially if the location is where you want it to be, and you know that 10 years down the line, I'm probably more than likely still going to be fine with this location. So prioritize location and be open to renovation later. So, Kevin, if you live in an area, right? Or if you think about a lot, right, when you're buying this home, think about something, finding it in the location you want, but having room to either renovate out lengthwise or up.
I'm a fan of renovation, to be honest with you. I mean, every
Me too.
man,
Like
I just think it's so important.
nobody wants to do it when they're in it, but like one of the conversations that I had to have a lot with realtors over the last 2 years is confirmation bias is the devil, right? So a couple of them said, "Oh, there's no inventory," and now everybody's saying it. Guys, there's so many houses in the world, in the country, right? The inventory is there. You just may have to get a little more creative with it,
Correct.
right? So
Yeah, I mean, well, my condo, going back to my condo, it was remodeled, a newly remodeled condo. And the guy, from a visual standpoint, did an amazing job. But after living there so often, noticing some of the, shortcuts that he took to get there, made me, very apprehensive for the next one. And the next home that I bought was a renovated house. I did a 203K. I did an
yeah,
FHA 203K because I do like putting in the new pipes and knowing that
Mm-hmm.
they're brand new, and knowing that there's no, sud or whatever, that's,
Yeah.
corroded, stuff like that. I want to put in the lights. I want to know how everything is connected. It's like a Lego set. I want to put all the pieces back together, and I know they're brand new. And I know
Yep.
that I put insulation behind the walls, and I didn't cut corners. I was able to see behind the wall, and I think it gives you more, um, you're more at ease. I mean, when you're buying these existing homes, you're really kind of subjected to what type of care did the first person before you, and what
Mm-hmm.
what shortcuts did they do, and no one's going to tell you. That we're in the
Right.
business of not telling you anything. It's like catch me if you can. So I am a big fan of renovation.
I'm a huge fan of renovation. And like new construction, okay, right? It sounds nice, but like we know, right? We've established I want a little bit of land. If there's a two-bedroom shack on it, I'm gonna roll with it. I'm gonna roll with it. I will renovate it. Of course, it will be bigger, but yeah, like it's got the electricity is there, the water is there, the things that I need, the utilities are there. Yeah, let's build off of that.
Yeah. All right, got a couple more, and we'll get this wrapped up here. What advice would you give someone planning for retirement while buying a home?
Okay. So Jason, if you have not already spoken to a financial advisor, start there because you need to understand what your current assets look like and what they're going to look like once you hit retirement age. Um, and a good financial advisor is going to talk to you in numbers after taxes because that's what's real. Um, so if you know you have X amount of years to retirement, but you want to buy a house before that, you need to sit down and do the numbers, right? If you guys don't know what your social security, if we get it, is going to look like, you can go on irs.gov and look at your social security benefits now, even if you're only 20. It'll tell you how much you're allowed once you're 63, 65. Um, but sitting down with a financial planner is exactly what they're there for. The idea is to one day when you go onto this fixed income, right? Even if it's multiple streams, let's say you get Social Security, a pension, let's say you have an annuity, um, I don't know what else, alimony, whatever. You've got this income rolling in. Either way, it's still fixed. And unless you want to have to come out of retirement and go back to work, spe- specifically for the need to live and not just the need to, be up still moving around, just you got to plan ahead for it. And that planning for retirement is the one of the times in life that is most important to not outkick your coverage because it is very hard to recover. Like right now, while we're able-bodied and the opportunity is there, we can still work. Right, we can always make more money. But once we're retired for one reason or another, and chances are that fixed income, this is what we're living with for the rest of our lives. Except that maybe tiny little bump you'll get on Social Security once a year that equates to $4.
Facts.
So it's just about figuring out what you will be able to afford. And if you don't like it, figuring out how to make it a little better before you get to retirement. But
Okay.
definitely get with a financial planner. That's what they're there for.
Last question. Do most buyers actually think 20 to 30 years ahead when purchasing? No.
Well, Ryan, if you're Jess Ford, yeah, but no.
That's why we're talking about it today, because people
Yeah,
don't do it. They don't think about the future selves. That's
yeah.
why it's so
The
important.
this show that's the whole point to get you to think about like why it's important to think 20 to 30 years ahead. Um, and 20 to 30 years, right, depending on how old you are right now, that could be a challenge for a lot of people. Some people can't, they just can't see it that far. Plan as far as ahead as you can see. Um, we definitely need to do a part two because I have so much more to say.
No, we'll do a part two. I know we have a special guest next Wednesday.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we'll and then on the 25th we could do part two of this. This is your future self. This was good. I think it's a great conversation. It's something to consider. But this is, and once again, I think the shows I read something about podcasts and just having these conversations. It's for the people that want to be here, because they are planning accordingly for their future selves. If this is not something that you're interested in, then those people don't have to watch. But for the people that are interested in, trying to figure that out and pass this information along to friends and family that that are in the market to buy a home, definitely make sure you share and like this, subscribe. This always is going to help this channel, Epic Spotlight. Make sure you share, like this, and share it with friends, families, and neighbors, and people that that are interested in buying a house. And Jess, contact information one last time.
Okay. Ooh, okay. I promised a thing. So, especially since we're not going to be here next week, because I don't want the whole month to go by, because it's only going to
We
last for
will
the
be
month.
here next week. Don't scare anybody.
Right, you're right. We're not going to be talking about this next week though, and then
Yes.
then they lose 2 weeks because I'm only doing this for the month. Okay, so buying a home is a journey, it's not a sprint. And so by focusing on your financial stability and aligning your home purchase with your long-term goals, you can enter a market with confidence regardless of how wide the market trends are, right? So to do that, you need to talk to someone who knows a little more about it than you do, preferably an expert that you can trust, right? um, because you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what questions to ask. You don't know what to consider. And sometimes we all need a second brain. I often need a second brain, which is why I call Dante a lot. So I'm offering to be your second brain, not yours, theirs. So for the rest of the month, so from now until end of business on the 31st, Tuesday, March
Tuesday.
31st, and I'm saying end of business because I have a concert that night and I'm not going past that. So until the
Anita Baker.
31st, what?
Anita Baker.
I wish.
Who you going to
It's
see?
not
Who you
a
going to
band.
see?
A band I've never even heard of. I'm going because I want to see my friends, so I don't get to see often.
Smashing Pumpkins.
Okay, are they even still together?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool. No, not them. Um, okay, so I am offering a free credit review for
Ooh.
anybody that wants it from now until the 31st. I will do a review, an assessment, right? Give you a written plan. I'll give you one free 30 to realistically 45-minute phone call. The one caveat is you have to use the credit report that I tell you to use. And it won't be a hard pull, but it will be a tri-merge, but it will not be a hard pull. And the only reason I'm really adamant about that is because I trust this particular credit report. And it is all I trust the accuracy, and it is also the closest predictor, right? Because they're all predictors, closest to our mortgage scores for our hard pulls that I've ever seen. So from now until the 31st, everyone has my contact information. You want a free credit review, reach out to me. In the event that you take me up on this offer, at the end of that credit review, I will also provide you with a free home buying packet for current you and future you.
Wow.
So I'm going to put my link in the chat one more time. Remember that it is all things Just Ford, emails, socials, website, all of that, LinkedIn, whatever you need. We're gonna put it in the chat. And you know what? I am gonna go ahead and throw in my title, my NMLS number, phone number, all of that good stuff. So if you don't have something to write with right now, go ahead and take a screenshot of it. I think I just put that in Instagram by accident, but nope, they needed to. Um, Go ahead and take a screenshot of it because I believe once we end this live, I don't ever see the comments.
They're
So
gone.
yeah, they're
Poof.
gone. So
Snapchat.
screenshot it now, friends.
It's like a Snapchat, but they could DM you.
Yes, you can. Yeah, absolutely. You can DM me, you can text me, you can email me.
I mean, it's a super awesome offer. I love it. I love hearing about it, and I hope people take you up on it because I think it's a great opportunity to get free knowledge, and there's no cost, no obligation, and I
And
love
we
that,
know how much free time Just Ford has. So
man. And to get on her calendar, whew,
it's a little intense. I can barely get on my calendar.
there you go, there you go. Got to take care of yourself now.
I don't know. I'm working on it.
All right, folks. Well, I will be back on Friday with Mr. Ken G. We're going to talk about the $2 billion real estate playbook. So I'm excited for that. Epic Spotlight live at 1 p.m. Eastern on Friday. So make sure you check me out then. And we got Friday and Monday, so a little bit of a back to back. And then I will be on with Miss Jess Ford next Wednesday. So looking forward to that. And we'll have a guest on talking about real estate investing. So looking forward to the next week. It's going to be fun talking some real estate investing. Yes, I just left that alone, Jess Ford. I just left it
Okay.
alone. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All
I,
right.
yes.
All right. I'm glad you peep game.
Yes, my dear. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you. Thanks for being on, and I will see you and everyone. Have a great rest of your week. Or I'll see you on Friday.
You will see them Friday.
Yeah,
Ta ta for now.
I'll see you tomorrow.
I will see you tomorrow.
All right. Bye.
All right. Bye.